Today, we are reviewing if this $600 3-wood is worth it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Really excited today to bring you the review of the all-new Ping LST 430 fairway wood. This 3-wood has been probably the most anticipated club release of the year, just due to the fact that it comes to us about 5 months late. I know the original plan was to release it with the Max head. It just wasn't ready yet. So really on tour, they've only had it on hands-on for about 2 to 3 weeks now. Many of you might ask, well, what's the difference between the Max and the LST? Well, the Max head's going to be a little bit more forgiving. I'm going to throw up a comparison in a minute to show you the difference in heads. The Max head, it comes in at 176 cc's, where the LST is a smaller head at 169 cc's. The other difference is LST stands for low spin technology. As you can see here on the bottom of the plate, or bottom of the club, excuse me, there's an 80-gram weight here at the center of the plate. That's going to kill that spin, lower that launch. So off the tee box, it's going to be a monster of a machine for distance. One thing that I've really kind of been looking forward to myself is this is a club that I currently play with the 425. So the LST head sits a lot more neutral in terms of face angle. Where the Max head, which is the more forgiving head, sits slightly shut. Almost, I don't want to say draw bias because it's not, but it almost gives that impression of a draw bias golf club, just the way it sits. So there's some similarities in technologies. Both have that carbon fly wrap. So that's the carbon fiber on top of the crown here. So both the Max head and the LST has that. They both have that forged face. I believe it's 8011 forged on the LST. So the biggest thing with the face of all Ping fairway woods is consistency.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That means whether you hit it low on the face, the middle of the face, high on the face, toe or heel, the goal with consistency is to create a consistent spin rate across the board, no matter where the impact or strike location is. And the biggest story with the LST and why the price is there is the entire body of this golf club is pure titanium. I think it's 2041 titanium body. So that's really haven't been done in a fairway wood. I think most notably the closest one would probably be like the Sim Plus or a Stealth Plus, one of those models. They incorporated a titanium body, but not a full chassis. So one thing that you may notice about this compared to a normal 3-wood is it's going to come off a lot flatter when you hit it off the ground versus a regular 3-wood. And that's intentional. Not that this is only for high swing speed players, but it's kind of catered to that market. So what I mean by that is with a normal fairway wood, let's say you've got a club head speed of 105 with a 3-wood all the way up to 120. With a, like maybe the Max head, you may hit 10 or 15 shots with it, and you're getting a lot of floaters. Even with a properly fit golf shaft, it's just launching a little too high with too much spin, so you may end up hitting it shorter off the ground than maybe your 5-wood. Well, with the LST having that 80-gram weight in the bottom, even if you hit it off the ground, it's going to come off at that swing speed with the same trajectory, but more piercing flight, because that spin rate's not going to overspin, I guess is the best word to use. So it's not going to climb, it's not going to float, it's not going to knuckle. Properly fit, this thing should, again, be a bulldog off the ground. So really excited to kind of get some numbers with it here in a few minutes. We're going to have myself and Daryl in the bay kind of do some comparisons, our likes and dislikes, because we're two different people. And what we may end up doing is comparing the Max head to the LST, putting it to the test, because if Ping's right, and especially for the $200 price difference, we should see a lower spin rate and faster ball speed off this LST than what we do with the Max. So I'll be really intrigued to see that, because again, the whole part about what's surprising with this one is just that price point. So we're back in the booth getting ready to test the LST. I've got Daryl with me. He's the owner, general manager, head golf professional as well. He's got the Max head in his hands. We're both going to hit it. But we're going to give you both our honest feedbacks, how I like the LST versus how he likes the LST, how I like the Max versus how he likes the Max, and then we're going to see if the price difference is worth it between the two heads. So initial impressions behind the golf ball is I'm really big on face angle, and I don't like to see a fairway wood that sits closed. And with this little bit of smaller head, it's 169 cc's. It does have a tendency to sit just a hair more open, aka square behind the ball. So that's something I personally like. I don't want to see a fairway wood that looks like it's going to go left. I want to have control over the golf ball. And then the height that it's standing behind the golf ball just gives me confidence that I can, even if I hit down on it a little bit, I'm going to get away with it. And that kind of alludes back to that spin consistency that we talked about in the studio. I say I don't like it to go left, and I hit the first one left.
It's pretty good, though.
It's a good miss. So first ball, a little bit off the heel, closed face, 160 ball speed, 112 club head speed, 281 total, 263 carry. So not bad for dead off the heel. That's a better swing.
Yeah, that sounded very good.
There we go. That's a good ball flight.
So first impressions, I just love how flush it sits and how low profile it sits to the ground. It just makes it feel like I'm going to be able to get this thing in the air. And I'm not going to have to force it through impact. And I love that it's a matte black finish, so I don't have that glare when I'm playing. You know, for a miss hit, that was a true miss hit. That went a long way for a miss hit for me. So I'm pretty impressed with that. I mean, still get 262 out of it, 246 carry. I mean, I like that. That was just a touch thin. That's small better. I mean, usually when we think of LST, we think of something that's not as forgiving, and this just seems to be actually pretty forgiving.
So now we've switched to the Max head. What's really important with us when we're doing a review too is making sure we do it consistently. So both of us are hitting the Fujikura Ventus TR Blue 7X with both heads. We're not flipping shafts around, so that way you get the most consistent data, and it's truly a head-to-head battle since we are using the same shaft. The biggest thing you can already tell, and I haven't even put it behind the golf ball, is that larger footprint. Like I alluded to earlier, it's 176 cc's. So when you sit it behind the golf ball, you can obviously see it's a longer heel-to-toe ratio. And from a face angle standpoint, this one definitely sits just a hair shut to my eye. That's the beauty of modern golf clubs, is everyone visually, they're going to have likes and dislikes, but to me, it just sits just a hair shut. Whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, we'll let you guys decide as you go in to test this. The one thing I will say about the Max that I do like behind the golf ball is with that LST being smaller, it's kind of, if I don't hit it in the middle of the face, I better watch out. Where this one, having that larger footprint, I can kind of go into it with a little bit more confidence, knowing I have more room to miss. So we're going to hit a few shots with this one as well, and then throw up a comparison against the two and just see which one's better for me, and to see if the LST is coming off faster. So it definitely took off and got a little higher, which it should. And it's got more weight in the back, where the LST has that 80-gram sole plate in the center. So immediately it got up in the air, and that one only went 238. Extremely spinny too, 5,000, so almost 2,000 more spin rate. And honestly, I felt like that was my best strike I've hit. So right off the bat, with my worst hit with LST, that's almost a 20-yard difference. So we'll try to center another one up and hope for a little bit better outcome. A little bit off the heel. it's a better miss. It's definitely a lot straighter. Again, substantially shorter, but on a miss that bad, we'll take shorter if it's that straight compared to what we saw with the LST, which hooked a little more off that hill shot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. That's the best one out of that. I'm just amazed at how much higher this one's going. And for me, it's going nowhere, which again, that's the whole point is, even though I am down in the back right now, with my wingspan, I just have a bigger swing radius, so I can produce a little bit more speed. This head isn't necessarily designed for what I want out of a fairway wood. I want a low piercing trajectory because I'm going to hit this off the tee box a lot more than I would driver at some of these tighter courses in a tournament situation, where this max head, as you can kind of see, more than 2,000 spin difference, again, with the same shaft. And I think that's the part that's really cool for me testing is we didn't change any other variable other than the head itself. So I'm going to hand it off to DP, let him hit it, and we'll go from there.
You know, I like the fact that when I was hitting the LST, it had the anti-left because I do struggle with the left miss. So I didn't hit a single one left. But we'll see what happens with this max head. You know, feel-wise, I felt like the LST was a lot harder in the face. And I know that it's all titanium in the LST, but this right here, that felt a lot softer. So my backspin was 3660, launch angle was around 15, so 14.7, 240 carry, 255 total. But it was pretty straight, and actually what I didn't do with the LST model is I didn't draw it. That was actually a little baby draw there. So we're getting, even though that the trajectory may have changed a little bit, I'm going to hit this higher because it's backspinning a lot more. And that's not necessarily something I want either as a player. So a lot of the times when I'm playing matches, I want something that's going to be piercing through the wind. Last one, folks. See how this max head does. See, I just don't like the way, for some reason, I feel like I'm going to hook it. So for me, as a player, when I look down on it, it's a big no-no of mine. If I see a hooded face, it's not going to meet my eye, and I'm battling whenever I'm getting to the release point of at the golf ball. I'm scared to hook it, so it's almost like I'm trying to hold the face off.
Cool. So just got wrapped up testing the heads, both myself and Daryl. We've got the numbers here behind us, and one thing that you can clearly see is on the left side here, we've got the LST on top in purple for me, and then when I hit the maxes in yellow. And we're going to slide all the way over to carry, because that's the big story, right? Is it going to go further for that additional $200? And we can clearly see my carry with the LST was an average of 251. My carry with the max was an average of 227. So that's a pretty substantial difference considering it was the same shaft, that we used in those heads. So for me, it would definitely be worth it. And I think the other noticeable thing is the spin. If we look at the spin rate, I was at 3,600 with the LST. With the max head down there at the bottom, a couple over 5,000, but an average of 4,700. So, it backed itself up. I mean, to Ping's credit is the LST spun less, went further, and that's what their marketing is saying that the titanium face with the titanium chassis is going to do, is it's going to spin less, go further. And then also my peak trajectory. I was at 11 degrees launch, on average 13 average together with the LST. With the max head, I was at 13.4, and that's because I knuckled one at 11 degrees. But it does launch within the same reasons, but because that spin's not there, its peak height is much lower. So, and that's a classic case of just because something's more expensive, it doesn't mean it's always worth it. And this is one of those exceptions. For me, it's definitely worth it because that's 20 yards with the same shaft, same club head speed, and same me. So really excited about that. So we can kind of see down here we've got Daryl now. We've got the LST in the Carolina blue / teal. We've got the Max in the white. And it's kind of the same thing there. But what's kind of different, and this is why it's important to test, is the LST gave him an average carry of 241, and the Max was an average carry of 241. So it's actually no difference in carry, even though the spin rate with him, it's only about 50 on average less. So that's a classic case of it's going to go more for his preference on how does it look behind the ball and ball flight. With LST, we noticed he didn't hit a single shot left. With the Max, we saw an extreme left miss. But the other thing, it also shows shaft optimization. That shaft for me obviously fit my swing a lot better, so I was able to produce a little bit better result. Where with him, with that spin rate, we'd probably want to go to something a little bit softer in the tip, a little firmer in the midsection, help that trajectory out. So it's still important to get fit for these clubs, even though they are engineered for a specific shaft. You know, Ping developed that Tour Black. They have more than one shaft available at no upcharge, such as the RDX Red and the Kylie White series, so as well as many other options. One thing that I'm curious to know is with the LST, it's full titanium. Is you currently play a full titanium 3-wood from another manufacturer.
Yeah.
What was the noticeable difference in sound from the Stealth to the sound of this, since this is Ping's first kind of introduction to carbon in about 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, sound-wise, they're not as. What's different about Ping is usually Ping got its name for that ping that came off the putter, right?
Yep, the Ping 1A.
Yeah, and you can almost hear a notable difference when you hear a Ping driver get hit on the range. And I didn't have that. It was much more muted this time, so I really liked the sound coming off of it. It was a lot more dull, not very pingy. If that's a word.
Had more of a crunch.
Yeah, more of a
carbon.
crunch. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, cool. Well, if you guys have any questions about the new LST product or any Ping product in general, feel free to reach out over here. You can reach out via YouTube, our social media websites such as Instagram. If you haven't already, like and subscribe and turn on those push bell notifications, and we'll catch you on the next one.